Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Estate Sales Secrets. This is going to be a fun one right here. You know, today's title of the interview is How to Succeed Without Going Broke in Real Estate. And I know that, a lot of us have that question. A lot of us have interesting experiences with that as well. So my name is Robert Tucker. Today I am talking with CJ Johnson about how every real estate agent can get started on the right track with real estate sales and obtain the best results. Welcome, CJ.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, truly my pleasure. It's been way too long.
It has.
CJ is a well-known expert on the subject of real estate sales and very prolific. She is on Instagram and Facebook all over the place, and the comments are awesome. I love watching your comments. So she's going to
that's the point. You got to get people interactive, right?
You got it. Absolutely. So she's going to help us with this and help you guys out there. So let's jump in. CJ, first set of questions about your experience in real estate, what you've done, so the audience can understand who you are and where you're coming from and how they can relate. So we'll talk a little bit about your experience. When did you get started? How did you get started in real estate?
I got started in real estate really by accident. I quit a corporate job because I decided I didn't want to do corporate stuff anymore. And this was in 2005. And so immediately the next day, I'm like, oh, I need a job. So I asked a few people that I know, and a person, an acquaintance, told me that I'm a golfer. And he said, I know you probably don't know this, but right down the road from your house, there's a new golf resort that's coming up. And I'm like, yeah, I did know that. I don't want to go work at a golf resort. And he's like, well, they have a job for you if you want it. I already talked to the guy. And so when I got there, it wound up being more than just a golf resort. They're selling property and dirt, basically. And I wasn't interested in that at all. People had tried to get me in real estate since I was in my 20s. And I was like, I don't want to go work with those old blue hair ladies. And so I wound up going to this place. It's called Carter Plantation. It's still in business. And the real estate agents who were there were very lazy. So they'd leave me there by myself. And the people who wanted to buy the dirt came in, and I started selling lots. And because I was working for the owner, they would just give me a bonus. That's how it works in Louisiana. So at some point in time, the company was sold, and the new owners were from New York, and they came in and they said, if you want to work for us, you have to have a real estate license. And this was on the day before Thanksgiving. And I said, oh, I'll get it by the end of the year. It'll be fine. No clue what I was doing, but I did it. I got my license.
Nice.
And then after that, I realized the dirt was all sold, and it was going to take a couple of years for the houses to be built, and I was not going to make any money. So I got into commercial real estate. And I worked in commercial real estate for about 4 years before the market went meh, meh. And that is where I learned virtually everything that has put money in my pocket in real estate. And it wasn't because it was a commercial broker. It was because he taught me how to build relationships with clients. Very simple. And I will have to say that this guy was so simplistic, and I used to laugh at him because he had 5 or 6 spiral notebooks, and they were just full of people's names and phone numbers. And like, he knew if he had a person that he needed to get in touch with, he would flip through there and find those. And I was amazed at how simple it was. But at this time, when I first went to work for him, I didn't know how outstanding this was, but the man had 147 listings, all commercial.
Wow.
And so that went well until the market crashed, and I had only sold one house in 2008.
Okay.
And a company recruited me, and it was a Prudential Gardner franchise, to come run their Baton Rouge operations of real estate. And it was about 50 agents. And I was like, I don't think I'm the person you really want to do this. And they said, yeah, you have a corporate background and you have real estate experience. So I had to get baptism by fire. I had to learn really fast about residential real estate and in recruiting and everything else. That worked out okay. So when the market uncrashed, I went out on my own and started selling houses. Then I eventually opened my own company, sold that company, opened up another company, and now I am a broker, and I also list and sell properties. I have a couple of people that work for me, buyer's agents, seller's agents, so works out okay.
There you go. So you've been through the ups, the downs, and everything in between.
Yep.
Yeah. So would you say that you've had formal training and education in real estate, or on-the-job training and real-world experience?
I've had on-the-job training and real-world experience. Really, for my first 8 years in real estate, I was winging it. I was flying by the seat of my pants, and because I worked really hard, and I did know how to build the relationships and keep up with people. I think that's what helped my business to be so busy.
Yep.
I was normally selling between 50 and 60 properties a year, which is pretty good. And I didn't know anything or have any concept of having an assistant or anything else. It was just me doing it, and it was stupid crazy.
Yeah.
And so at some point in time, I was working for our broker at this time, and he told me, he got our entire team into Corcoran coaching.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew about real estate coaching, and I had checked into it a little bit, and I was like, that's really expensive, but since he was paying for it, I decided to get in there and take the course, and it was very intense, although it was a little antiquated. But that was where I started learning how to build a business instead of just selling real estate. And then I also coached with Dirk Zeller, Real Estate Champions, and Lars Hedenborg.
Yep.
And so those guys helped me get dialed in to actually keep up with what I was selling, understand all, the process,
yep,
how an assistant can help me when I got to a certain level, how having buyer's agents, because I really resisted that. I just didn't want people talking to my clients or dealing with my clients, and sellers agents could help me leverage to sell over 100 houses a year. So, man, it was so simple, but yet.
You mean, simple, let's say, as we always say, it's a very simple business, but not necessarily an easy business?
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's do this. Let's jump into some of these questions, because, we've been talking about and it can go so many ways with this question. If all of a sudden you woke up and the office was burnt down, your computer was gone, your database was gone, you had nothing, your credit cards were burnt, your car, and you had absolutely zero, you had nothing. And what would you do to pay the bills and get back on your feet in 30 days? So with that in mind, and we talk about that being a good guide for beginners, but quite frankly, it's a good guide for any real estate agent that's out there that struggles, which unfortunately is a lot more. So what's the first step you would take to start getting it all back?
Well, for me, I would just go back to grassroots, the bottom of the totem pole, and swallow my pride. This has happened to me before. So I'm speaking from experience, where all I had was my actual computer. And I didn't know, I wasn't smart enough to keep all of my contacts. And where I'm going with this is immediately start to build back your sphere of influence and remind people that you're in real estate. And if you're like me, I wasn't smart enough at the first time this happened, that I didn't have a CRM and I didn't have a good way to keep up with my clients. And I had not made all of my clients' contacts in my Gmail. So this was when Gmail started kind of getting popular. I don't want to age myself too bad. So I really had to work really hard to go through old files, paperwork, and start building a database, because your sphere of influence, to me, pretty much consistently every year, my sphere will provide about 30 leads for me. So even if I didn't do anything else, I could live off of the referrals that I get from my sphere of influence, family, friends, past clients. And I really didn't understand the value of that until I basically lost all my business. So the very first thing that I would do would be to start building that back up. I mean, that's your core business. And you should always be building your sphere of influence anyway, with every sale and every person you come in contact with. Not, overkill, but at least let them know that you sell real estate.
So what would you say to them? I mean, how would you contact them, and what would you say? I mean, if you say they're going to, that they can give you 30 a year, there are a lot of agents that would love to have 30 closings a year. So how do you get there?
It maybe at first it was a little awkward for me, but of course, all of my clients that I have, when I lost my business and really had to start building it back from scratch, and that's a story for a different day. I really just reached out to all my past clients and literally did this from going through my emails, finding their phone number. Of course, I had a lot of people's phone numbers in my phone. And I just told them, I'm setting up a brand new database and I'm not going to be bothering you and inundating you with emails or phone calls or text. But I will connect with you about twice a year just to remind you that I'm in real estate, and I hope that's okay. I just want to make sure it's okay if I add you to my database. So a lot of people will just ask, well, what kind of database is it? What does it do? You know, and as you start having that little conversation, a lot of times they'll tell you, well, you know, my friend at work is about to put his house on the market. I'll let him know about you. You know, probably about 10% of those kind of phone calls do turn into something. Phone call, text, face-to-face, whatever. Then when I meet new people, it's a joke in my family that if we go out to eat or if we're sitting at the bar having dinner or whatever, that all they can see is the back of my head because I start talking to whoever is around me. And much to their consternation. But I mean, I just talk to anybody who talks to me, and naturally people start, what do you do? And I always try to work it into the fact that I sell real estate, and I try to exchange contact information or at least connect with them on social media. I have 4,700 people on my Facebook right now. It comes and goes. Sometimes I just go through and do a mass disconnect, but, and it doesn't have to be a hard sell. They just need to know that you are their source for any question that they have about real estate. And that's what I try to get across to people. You know, you may not need somebody now, but if you do need a realtor or just some real estate information, I want to be the first person they think about, and not a hard sell. It's like, I'm the information source, and I want to make sure they know that.
What kind of information do you tell them? Anything specific about what you provide? I mean, that's one of those interesting things that we see very little of with real estate agents nowadays, is being that information source. So what do you offer?
Just in general, I want to make sure that people know that I have a very diverse background: residential, commercial. I know about short-term rentals, vacation properties, investment properties, 1031 exchange, land. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell people that.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily give out cards anymore. I really don't even take cards anywhere that I go. So I want to try to get their cell phone number if possible and connect with them that way. I usually ask people if we can just share phone numbers. And I'm very clear about the fact that I'm not going to harass them, you know, and I just kind of work it into the conversation that that's what I do. And I have a really fast fill. I do residential, commercial land, 1031 exchanges, investments, whatever. And maybe a little bit of that will sink into their brain, you know.
So that would be your elevator pitch.
That's pretty much my elevator pitch. I'm not shy, you know. I think one of the funny things is I have people pitch to me sometimes. They don't know that I'm in real estate. And so they'll say, hey, I'm a realtor and I work for XYZ company. So if you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell, give me the card. Have them call me. So that's the end of that. And that's like a huge fail in my book.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, they're probably about 95%, maybe more than that, maybe 99%, that's what they do. So, yeah. You know, when you say that's a massive fail, why? What happens with that?
It just doesn't make an impression. And then how many times does somebody give you that pitch in any business?
Yeah.
And you get the card and it's just like, what impression did that make on you, honestly?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that I'm able to necessarily make that impression, but a lot of times I really am, you know, because I really initially try to connect with them on something else. It's not about real estate. It's whatever they're wearing, or if they're with their kids and their kids are wearing a certain sports uniform and I can see they go to a certain school, or maybe something about their car. It just, you know, it depends, because I've gotten a lot of clients at gas stations.
Gas stations.
Yeah, because I mean, first thing you do, you tell a dude how nice his car is. Man, your car looks great.
Oh gosh.
It just got waxed, or man, that's really beautiful, or it sounds good, or whatever. Next thing you know, you're having a conversation, and you know, that kind of thing. And the same thing with women. Compliment their purse. Women love that. You know, I mean, you don't want to make it all about you.
Yes.
You know, and I always ask people as well, what do you do? People want to talk about themselves, you know, and so if I ask them first what they do, of course, eventually, unless they're just a total egotistical person, they're going to ask you what you do too.
Yeah, absolutely. So build that relationship, and kind of what I heard you say too is you ask forward questions: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nice, very nice. So, what would be the second thing that you would do?
The second thing is really social media. It starts to get a little bit more techy, but as I was very resistant to social media when Facebook was the big one that I think everybody around 2008, 2009, it was a really hot commodity.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, the company that I was working for, where I was running the corporate residential company in Baton Rouge, our president of the company made everybody in our company join Facebook. And I just did not want to do it. And I had Facebook for over a year and didn't have my photo on Facebook. Well, as time started to go by, I guess I have a little bit of gift of gab, and I love to write, and I can be very sarcastic. Rob can testify to that. And at times I think I can be funny, but it flops a lot, and that's okay. What I started to find out on Facebook was that if I put something out there that was a little bit controversial, and not really controversial, more like sarcastic or about football teams. I'm a huge SEC football fan. I love LSU. But everybody in Louisiana does not love LSU. They might like Mississippi, Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, for God's sake. So, that kind of gets the ball going, and then intermix those. And I made it a point. I started researching a little bit, and the statistics and data at that time wasn't just like perfectly honed in like it is now.
Yeah.
There were no Facebook ads, except I guess from Facebook. So I started to realize the formula that people were using is 3 personal posts and 1 business post. And of course, at that time I had a lot of listings, so I started putting that out there.
Okay.
Getting testimonials from buyers, asking them to tag me. I've never been really big on taking photos of my clients at the closing and that kind of thing. I want my clients to interact with me on Facebook. And to this day, I have so many, virtually, I would say over 500 people on my Facebook are past clients. And they do interact with me a lot, because I keep up with them. So social media, the big Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter have always worked very, very well for me. So I would just encourage everybody, if you don't at this point, make sure that you have a personal and a business Facebook. I have about 3,000 people on my business Facebook. If you ever want to go look at it, it's Properties by CJ Johnson at Black Label Holdings. And that's pretty interactive too. I share a lot of stuff from other agents. I share for sale by owners. Anything that's going to get people looking at my Facebook page. Most of those people are also on my personal Facebook page, and that's fine with me. I'm not like a super private person. I'm not going to give out my address or anything like that. But also then when you're doing ads or boosts on Facebook, those go to Instagram.
Yep.
Have a pretty active Instagram. Same thing. I usually put a lot of personal, more like quotations or really pictures that I took on Instagram. Sometimes they're really of interest to people. Sometimes they're not, but intermixed with real estate. And then Twitter, I have not used ever as much, but you can set up your Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to all be linked so that whatever you post, I usually post on Instagram and it feeds out to Facebook and Twitter.
Okay.
So that really gets a lot of juice. And I say this, I know people are very commonly or usually have knowledge of social media, they use it, but over the years, I would say probably 50% of my listings easily are sold because of Facebook.
Really?
Yeah. So what happens is I'm friends with a ton of agents. I'm friends with my past clients. So I don't usually put my listings on my personal Facebook, but if I do, I have found that they get a lot more interest. So what happens is agents will see it the first day that I post it, and it's just hit the market that day. Clients will see it and send it to their agent. That happens to me. That's probably the biggest way that I sell my listings is somebody else sees it and they tell their agent, and like their agent is immediately sending me a text or an inbox to say, oh, tell me about this property. How many showings have you had on it? So that's a really good way for me that I've found over the years. It just has built more and more. As a matter of fact, I have people who share their listings on my Facebook without asking, and I, of course, immediately delete them. If you ask, I will, but it's been very successful for me.
Yeah. So do you go out and actively friend local agents for that purpose?
I did in the beginning, because at first I was kind of resistant to that too. I was like, I don't know all these people. And at that time, and probably still to this day, in the Baton Rouge and New Orleans market, you have a lot of people that are very, very competitive agents. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want them seeing what I was doing. And then once I realized, well, anybody can copy anybody. It's not like I have a copyright on what it is that I'm doing.
Right.
And I realized that I maybe had 100 agents on my Facebook. Now I have probably 1,000 from New Orleans and Baton Rouge.
Wow.
And so that has helped me. We share each other's information, and I've started to realize there are certain agents that I know what type of properties they sell and what areas they work in and the type of clients they work with. And I feel that people know that about me as well. So I do get a lot of people who reach out to me, hey, I'm about to put this property on the market. And I do the same thing. And we do this just through Facebook messages. I have this property about to hit the market. And so a lot of times we'll get a purchase agreement on something, basically before it's ever listed.
Nice.
So yeah, having those relationships, it's all about relationships,
Well, you've got your own kind of private MLS. Almost.
I do. It is. Because I'm very quick to share something that is not, that is a for sale by owner.
Yep.
Or a commercial lease that one of my friends owns a building and they just need to lease this rental spot and that kind of thing. It's not going to appeal to everybody, but you just never know who might see it and be interested. I just had that happen last week in a little strip mall. A guy had a spot for a lease, and a chick that was on my Facebook that owns a little company was trying to find a new location to expand her business, and she snapped it up. So everybody was happy.
Well, that's something that's very interesting. I don't think a lot of agents use that. And, it sounds like you're not really worried about other agents stealing your idea. You're actually working with them regardless of where they are. And it's a win-win for you guys.
It is a win-win. The communication, if you have open lines of communication with people and, nothing's a secret anymore. As much as we think we want it to be, the secret sauce is out there.
Yep.
It's just being consistent and doing whatever it is that you do daily, or as you schedule yourself to do it, time block yourself.
Do you try to actually do something on there on a daily beat? Do you have a specific number that you want in a week, or is it just whenever you decide to go do something?
No, I still kind of go by the formula of on my personal Facebook, and it's easy for me I could be on Facebook and do 10 posts a day very easily, but people they start to ignore you. Once you show up in their timeline too much, there's an overkill.
Right.
So most people that are on my Facebook know that I have a Facebook business page, and I say that on Facebook from time to time just to make sure people that have friended me in the past, maybe 2 or 3 months, know, hey, if you wanted to keep up with real estate, jump over here, and I'll notice 4 or 5 people will join my business page. And so what I try to do is, what comes natural to me is posting a few posts on Facebook every day. It's not every single day. Sometimes I'm too busy to do that. I interact with other people's posts, which is also extremely important. I'll usually make a comment or two on other people's listings. And of course, my friends or clients, I purposefully will go to, as I scroll through, and make comments on people's Facebook posts, especially stuff with their kids, their dogs. And you might think, oh, that's kind of fake. And it is intentional. I mean, I want them to see that I'm interacting with them and that I'm interested in them, because one of the things that really, oh man, it just chaps me to see one of my clients buy or sell a house later with another agent. And I'll go, well, what did I really do though to stay in touch with that person?
Yeah.
Did I have them in my database? Did I just forget, to really stay in contact with them? Or, it's a little different if their child is selling real estate or their brother or sister, but if they're just fair game for everybody, and I don't look at everybody as just a real estate deal. I am interested in what they do because they're interested in me too, and for a lot of the people, we do have a real relationship. I see them places, we just stay in touch. And a lot of times, sadly, it is just through social media, but I do post on my personal, but I try to post every other day on my business.
Okay.
whether it's my listing or something about a news story that's real estate related or somebody else's. I share a lot of the agents that I work with. I share all their listings
Nice.
on my Facebook.
Wow. Talk about a way to have other agents love to work with you.
They should.
Well, of course they do.
It's going to be a good deal.
Well, yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Nice. Well, that's, social media is such a massive part of what people are doing nowadays or should be doing.
Yeah.
And it circumvents the Zillow process as well. And I think that's a huge thing.
It is huge, And if you were saying earlier about providing information, in my sphere of influence, I normally only send out a couple of emails to people a year, and I have them divided up by personal friends and past clients, and then potential clients.
Okay.
A lot of times, if it's somebody they haven't worked with, so I send out different kinds of emails, and I don't really set them up on a drip because I'm only sending them a couple of emails a year.
Okay.
I don't send them anything like the time is about to change, or
That's this weekend, by the way.
It is. Or get financed with this person, those kind of things. And I'm very protective of my database. I don't share that information with anybody, never would. But I just it kind of depends, just whatever is kind of a hot topic. Not anything that's a controversial thing like political or religious. I just think of something that's a current event that I can relate to real estate. One of the big things here is in Baton Rouge, we just had a city that basically had enough votes to withdraw itself from Baton Rouge and become its own little city, and that's pretty controversial right now. And so that's been a big thing that I've sent out to my clients if they live in that area, how that's going to affect the value of their property going forward. The answer to that is nobody knows. So that's been a good thing for me to send out to people who actually not just live in that area, but people who are in the Baton Rouge metro area. How is that going to affect the value of their property? So when I sent that out to past clients and potential clients, I think I had 18 people out of about 2,000, which is not bad, that sent me back an email to say, hey, what's the value of my property? And then I wound up getting 2 listings from that. So if I got 2 listings from one email that went out, I'm thrilled.
Yeah. Well, I think the big takeaway from that is you paid attention to what's going on, and then you sent something truly of value to your list. It wasn't just a, hey, are you interested in selling your house? It was real value.
Yeah. And the title of my email is What's Really Going On in St. George, because that's the new city.
Okay.
And when I looked at the open rate, I sent out about 2,000 emails and over half were opened. So that's pretty good.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Do you track that much?
Yeah, I normally look to see if there's at the opens and the unsubscribes. I want to know if I would never call or reach out to somebody. Why did you unsubscribe? Unless it was like a really good friend. I have asked them, is it just cluttering up your inbox or whatever? And most of them are just like, I get so many emails. I'm so sorry. I'm not offended at all. I want to know because that's going to help me run my business better. Can you resubscribe me? No, I'm not going to resubscribe you. This is marketing data for me. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah. Very nice. Cool. So that's outstanding. So if somebody, because I think this is a good and important one for people, if somebody gets stuck on this step, how do they get unstuck? How do they really just focus on doing this for a little bit so they get in a good habit?
I think the number one thing with anything like this that you do is consistency. Just go back wherever you got stuck, start over if you have to, or if you have 5 people in your database, you know what? When I was working for the commercial broker, one of the things he taught me, this was so simplistic. He said, CJ, if you have 2 leads every week that you reach out to, and at that point, I didn't know anything about anything to do with technology and real estate. And there were no lead gen platforms out there, nothing like that. So he was very simply, pick up the phone and call 2 people a week and ask them if it's okay if you stay in touch with them or stick something in the mail to them, because he was a big direct mail person. He goes, at the end of the year, you'll have over 100 contacts just by doing that twice a week. I can't even tell you how hard it was for me to reach out to 2 people a week. So what I would do is at the end of the month, I would reach out to like 10 just so that I could say, oh, I got my people. Well, he was so right about that, because those were the people that still long-term clients that I've sold properties for them, commercial, residential, land. And now they're kids, brothers, sisters, whatever. I'm that old. So you have to set a time. And now the big thing is time blocking. That's not that's not new to anybody, but you have to do it. So I put time on my calendar every week just to have really an hour to go through my sphere of influence and see if any of those people, I use them in the back end of my database to see if they've actually looked at any properties, what they've looked at, or if they're just sitting there, that's fine. I want to know. And then I add people to it too, just like anybody else. I'm going to stop and I have 5 people I need to add to my database. And I do that once a week, every Friday. I do it like clockwork. I have it on my calendar. Awesome. It's hard to do. It's it's such a pain. It's painful. And it's like, oh my gosh, why do you think that? Because it's just, a lot of times it's for nothing. You're probably going to add 200 or 300 people in your database. You're never going to hear from them ever again, and it seems fruitless. But then when that person actually reaches out to you just out of the blue, it's so gratifying when you have a couple of people a week call you to ask you a real estate question, if it's the value of their property, or just, hey, do you know what's going on with this piece of property, and wherever it may be, and really go to the extra step to find out what the story is, or what is going up there on this corner where a bulldozer is, or that kind of thing. Then people know you're the expert and they want to work with you.
Cool. Very cool. Nice. God, good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I got too deep into the unstuck, but this is what I want to say about getting unstuck. You know what helps me a lot? If I get stuck on something, there's a lot of experts out there, and I don't know all of the experts. I go to YouTube and I just put prospecting real estate clients or how to add clients to your database. There is a video out there for everything, probably hundreds.
Yes.
And I'll just start clicking on them and watching them, and it inspires me. I'm like, if that idiot could do it, I can do it, So it will give you that little boost to just, you may have to start over. You might go, this didn't work. I have 100 people in my database. It's dead. All these people are unsubscribing. Stop and purposefully think about what you're doing and what the result is you want, and then figure out how you're going to get there. And if it's by adding 1 person a week, or adding 50 people a week, or buying a database from somewhere, just go do it.
Cool.
Take action.
There you go. So let's get to, you got another one? You got a third step that somebody should do? What would you do?
Let me see. With third step, I said something. Oh, my third step.
Your third step.
I wrote this down because I'm old, y'all. Okay. So the third step, if I totally lost everything and had to start from scratch, the very first or the third step that I would do, it's up to us. I would go to my broker.
Okay.
And I would say, here's where I'm at. You got to humble yourself a little bit, or a lot sometimes, and just say, here's my situation. I am broke as a goat. I don't have any leads. I'm trying to get leads. Here's what I'm doing. Don't go there and say, help me, because I don't know what to do, because you do know what to do. And if you haven't done anything to help yourself, you shouldn't ask another person for help in that situation, in my opinion. So go to the broker and say, look, I need some support. I need some help. I'm at a dead end. And if your broker turns you away, or laughs at you, or humiliates you, or doesn't have time to help you, you're working for the wrong broker.
Yeah.
So find another broker. But if your broker sees, because I've had plenty of agents come to me, that you're trying to help yourself, then they're going to help you try to sit down. Let's make a plan. Let's see what we can do in the next few days to really help you boost your business. Maybe we can do some co-op marketing. You know what? You want to do some open houses? I have 17 listings. Which one you want to hold open? I'll run an ad on Facebook. I'll run an ad even in the paper. I don't care. Whatever you're going to do to expose my property, let me help you do that. You want to put your sign writer on my signs? Fine. I don't do dual agency, so I'm a little different from a lot of people, but I don't want to talk to these buyers who are calling about my properties. I mean, I do, I'll help them, but you know what? It's going to be way better for somebody. Hey, yeah, I can go show this property immediately. I probably don't have the time to do that. So, for myself as a broker, I love to help people, especially when I see that they're helping themselves.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice. Well, on that note, what would you say is the mindset? If this happened to you, what kind of mindset does an agent have to be in to get it together and make something happen in the next 30 days?
Really realize that you can take the steps necessary to get something under contract in the next 30 days. It is not easy, and you might not get that contract till the 29th day. But first of all, the thing that motivates me, and this does not motivate everybody, but thinking and knowing that people think that I can't do it is my biggest motivator. I am going to show them that I can do this. I'm going to do this. And it also helps me to focus and set goals. This week I'm going to do this. Next week I'm going to do this. The next week I'm going to do this, or even daily. Especially when I'm at a place where I go, oh man, I don't have any deals right now. That's kind of a scary place to be. Even though I've sold a lot this year, when I get to that point in my business, which happens to me several times a year, I start to get that scarcity mentality and go, oh, I may not sell anything else this year and it's July. Then I'm going to work a little bit harder to start reaching out to people. And you can always make something happen. It's totally a mindset, being consistent, and actually doing the work. You know what? In real estate, we all know what to do. We all know what CRM and lead gen and direct mail and door knocking and whatever you're going to do. We know what it is. What we fail to do is actually do it. So I think by making the plan, really, if I was on a 30-day plan, I would have a list of things that I was going to do every day. Even if some of it's repetitive, you're doing something. And action is going to create action. So that's the biggest thing. And keep yourself motivated. Find a mentor. If it's not your broker, find another agent, even at another company. That has helped me a lot, just having friends who are in real estate, Rob. When I'm kind of stuck on something, bounce ideas off of other people. You just never know where something very helpful and beneficial is going to come from.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Well, CJ, I know we had a time frame, so I'm going to say thank you. And this has been outstanding. It's extreme good information that somebody can go and implement, that's not expensive, if at all, and can make some things happen in 30 days. And we truly appreciate you and your information and your willingness to come on and help other agents across the country. So,
well, I'm happy to help.
It's
a lot of times when you're at the bottom, you don't have a lot of money, but your best resource is yourself.
Yeah.
So never sell yourself short and just keep plowing forward.
Absolutely. You got it. So again, thank you, CJ, for sharing with us. And thank you all for the realtors in the audience for joining us on this amazing broadcast with CJ Johnson. And again, I'm Robert Tucker. Thanks for joining Real Estate Sales Secrets. Check it out today and make it a great day.